Welcome to Understand the Math. In this video, we're going to learn how to solve rational equations. That name might sound a bit intimidating, but it just means that we're working with equations that have fractions with variables in the denominator. I'll break everything down into simple, manageable steps, and then we'll walk through two example problems together. Let's get started. I've listed 4 steps that we can follow when we solve rational equations. I'll go through these steps one by one as we walk through our first example. In our first example, we're going to be solving the equation 2 divided by x minus 3 divided by x plus 2 is equal to 1. The first thing that we need to do when solving this equation is listed up here in step 1, and it's to find the least common denominator. The least common denominator is the smallest polynomial that all denominators divide into evenly. It's found by multiplying the highest power of each unique factor from the denominators. In our example, the least common denominator is going to be x times x plus 2 because those are the unique factors that are found in the denominators. The second step is that we're going to take our rational equation and we're going to multiply each term in that equation by this least common denominator. The first term in our equation is 2 divided by x, and we're going to multiply that by x times x plus 2, our least common denominator. And then we're going to take our second term, minus 3 over x plus 2, and also multiply that by x and x plus 2. And then our right-hand side also gets multiplied by x and x plus 2. The third step is to just solve this equation. To solve this equation, we are going to cancel out some terms, and let's go ahead and let's do that. In our first term, the x's cancel. In our second term, the x plus 2's cancel. And now we can go ahead and simplify. We have a 2 times x plus 2, and then we have a minus 3x, and then on the right-hand side, we have our x times x plus 2. Now let's go ahead and multiply everything through. On the left, we have a 2x plus 4 minus 3x, and then on the right, we have x squared plus 2x. Let's go ahead and let's simplify some more on the left. This is a minus x plus 4, and then on the right, we just have x squared plus 2x. Now let's go ahead and let's pull everything to the right-hand side. So let's write this as plus x minus 4, and then plus x minus 4. On the left, we get 0, and then on the right-hand side, we have x squared plus 3x minus 4. On the left, we have a 0, and then on the right, we have a quadratic equation, which we can factor. We need to find two numbers that multiply to get negative 4 and add to get 3. So we can factor this as x plus 4 and then x minus 1. And then when we solve each of those equations, we get x is equal to minus 4 and x is equal to 1. Now let's go back up and let's look at our fourth step. Our fourth step tells us to check if the possible solution or solutions make the lowest common denominator equal 0. What we're really doing in this step is we are just avoiding getting a solution that makes one of the denominators on the left-hand side equal to 0. Our lowest common denominator was x times x plus 2, and that's going to equal 0 when either x is 0 or x is equal to minus 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the solutions that we just got. Our solutions were x is equal to negative 4 and x is equal to 1, and those solutions are not 0 or negative 2, so both of those solutions are great, and we can include them. We can now write down our solutions, and our solutions are x is equal to minus 4 and x is equal to 1. Let's now look at another example that's a little bit more complicated. In this example, we are going to be solving 2 divided by x minus 1 is equal to x squared plus 5x minus 4 divided by x squared minus x. We're going to solve this the same way. We're going to walk through our 4 steps. Our first step is to find our least common denominator. Notice on our right-hand side, we have x squared minus x. In order to find the least common denominator, we need to factor that. So I'm going to write down our equation and then we'll factor that part of it. On the left, we have 2x divided by x minus 1. And then on the right, we have x squared plus 5x minus 4. Now we're going to go ahead and do some factoring. Each of those terms has an x common to it. So we're going to pull out an x and we're left with x minus 1. Now we can see what our least common denominator is. Our least common denominator is made up of the unique factors in each denominator, and those are going to be x minus 1 and x. So let's write down that our least common denominator is equal to x times x minus 1. Now let's go on to our second step. And that step is to multiply each side of the equation by our least common denominator. We have 2x over x minus 1 on the left, and we're going to multiply that by x and x minus 1. And then on the right, we have x squared plus 5x minus 4, all divided by x times x minus 1, and that gets multiplied by our least common denominator, x times x minus 1. Before we go on to solve this equation, let's go ahead and let's cancel out some factors. Notice on the left that we have an x minus 1 that cancels. And then on the right, we have an x that cancels, and then an x minus 1 that cancels. Our step 3 then is to just go ahead and solve this equation. Let's go ahead and let's multiply out on the left. We have 2x squared, and then on the right, we have x squared plus 5x minus 4. To solve this equation, I am going to pull everything to the left-hand side. We're going to add minus x squared minus 5x plus 4 on the left, and then minus x squared minus 5x plus 4 on the right. On the left, then, we get 2x squared minus x squared, which is x squared, and then we have a minus 5x plus 4, and then on the right, we have 0. This is a quadratic equation, and we can factor it. We need to find 2 numbers that multiply to get 4 and add to get negative 5. So we can factor this as x minus 1 and then x minus 4. And that's equal to 0. We get x is equal to 1, and then x is equal to 4. Now our fourth step says that we have to check if these solutions make our least common denominator equal 0. So let's go ahead and let's rewrite our least common denominator was x times x minus 1. If we set that equal to 0, we're going to get x is equal to 0 and then x is equal to 1. These are the values that we need to avoid. X is equal to 0 and x is equal to 1. Notice that one of our solutions that we found in step 3 was x is equal to 1. We cannot have that solution, so we are going to put an x through it. X is equal to 1 is called an extraneous solution. These solutions can sometimes appear when you multiply both sides of a rational equation by the least common denominator. It helps eliminate fractions, but it can also introduce values that make the original denominator equal to 0. And division by 0 isn't allowed in math. We did, however, have one solution that was not an extraneous solution, and that was x is equal to 4. So we can write down our answer is the solution x is equal to 4. And that's it. Solving rational equations doesn't have to be intimidating. Just remember the 4 steps that we went over, especially the final check for extraneous solutions.
If this video has been helpful to you, please consider subscribing to my channel. Keep believing in yourself and have a great rest of your day.